when a managing director, CEO or chairman reaches the top of a company. Many people might think that they've learned everything there is to know, and that is the reason they hold that pivotal position. For many top executives, though, they also need to keep up to speed with leadership and management skills, and the first person that they look for in order to do this is an executive coach. Well, our guest on Inside Business today is not just the founder of one of Europe's leading executive coaching firms, he's also just written a book about self-coaching. Tom Preston, thanks a lot for coming in on Inside Business.
Hi, Greg. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, what do you think, and are there any shortcuts to success?
I'm not sure that there are actually shortcuts, but we can definitely learn how very successful people operate. For example, successful people spend a lot of time thinking about the future rather than the past. They tend to be able to answer three very important but simple questions that are quite hard to answer. The first is, what do I want? Or in the case of a business, what do we want? So they can actually articulate success. They then think about the steps necessary to deliver on that success. So they say, how can we get what we want? And the last question they ask themselves is, okay, we know the definition of success, we know how to get there, so who is going to do what and when to bring it about as a reality? So successful people definitely have traits that everyone can learn from.
Are there any recurring problems that you see occurring, mistakes that they make along this road?
Businesses survive and some don't. And pretty much always it's the people issues that result in a business not surviving. So for example, people who become very change resistant in a business tend not to have the longevity of other businesses who innovate and who accept the realities of business life. I think that leaders who get very isolated also tend to make a lot of mistakes. I think the recent economic downturn will prove to us over time that many of the big decision makers were completely isolated. They were not in touch with their customers. They were not in touch with the people that they led, and they weren't open to feedback. So their egos, frankly, often got the best of them, and they ceased to lead in a grounded way.
Now let's talk about your book, Coach Yourself to Success. How did that come about, and why, in a sense, was there a need for it?
Well, first of all, Greg, sadly, not everybody can afford to have an executive coach. So I wanted to write a book in which we could give access to the mind technology and business insights that a professional executive coach has. Secondly, I wanted to be sure that the coaching technologies were available to every single manager in a business, because today managers are expected to be able to coach. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. And lastly, the book addresses the fact that there's been some skepticism about coaching in businesses, and I wanted to demystify it so that people could buy it well and knew what to look for when they were buying it.
Now, the global credit crisis is something that's sort of hounding the world at the moment. A lot of people losing their jobs as we speak. Is this a time for people to go into self-coaching to better themselves?
Yes, it's a time for everybody to be very conscious of the value that they deliver into a firm. In the past, firms used to worry a lot about the return on capital, and today they still worry about return on capital, but they also worry about what we're calling ROPE, return on people employed. It's absolutely critical. So the answer to managing the recession and avoiding losing your job is to ensure that your return on person employed in the organization is as high as possible. It's the best insurance policy.
Let's talk about entrepreneurs. This part of the world, in the UAE, there are many. There are many who have done very, very well. There are some who are unfortunately falling by the wayside now because of the global credit crunch. Has everyone got it in them to be an entrepreneur?
Everybody in the world, Greg, has the possibility to be an entrepreneur. You only have to go to some of the markets around the Middle East, in China, in pretty much anywhere in the world to see normal people being entrepreneurs. Whether or not we all have the capability to make billions as entrepreneurs is the big question. So it's worth doing a lot of work understanding your skills, your skill gaps, and how to solve those before embarking as an entrepreneur. And most importantly, as an entrepreneur, you have to absolutely love what you do, because that passion will get you through the very difficult road, even though you hope it won't be, it will be, to success.
Now, let's find out when the book is published, Coach Yourself to Success, and when will it be available in the UAE?
It's available currently on amazon.co.uk. You can pre-order it, and it's actually available on the web and in bookshops on the 23rd of March. So I look forward to signing some copies in the UAE soon.
Tom Preston, thank you very much for coming in on the programme today.
Thank you, Greg.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. Well, there we are. That's it for this edition of Inside Business. You can contact the programme, as ever, by writing to ib@city7tv.com. But for now, from all of us on the team, goodbye, and thanks for watching.